Now, you talked about information not being given with the ministerial lines. Well, number one, you talked about this $385,000, and you said you would hope that it was there and it hasn't been spent without approval. Have you asked for an accounting?
Have I asked for an accountant?
An accounting of where that money is at? Have you asked anyone about it?
I've have talked to Pastor Nicholson about 2 years ago, and he generally talked to me, and that's the last conversation about 2 or 3 years ago. The land was sold in '07. I think it's probably '08, '09 when I talked to Pastor Nicholson. I made a visit at his home to talk to him, and I remember him telling me that there was about 200,000 they had, and he mentioned the things I just mentioned. But I found out later that it was more than that. What if he was not thinking properly at the time or giving me the exact amount? I don't know, but I do know after I left his home then, I have not been contacted, I have not been talked to, and that I'm disturbed about. And I find offense to it. I find no excuse. And I don't think I have to call him. I think he and the Lions should have called me to make me aware of things, make sure I was part of meetings, and I was not. So my opinion now, there have not been meetings, and where the money is, I'm interested because it's supposed to be given to help develop the southeast side of town. '07, now we're in 2013, that draws a concern. We should have been spending that time, and from listening to Mike's comments in the newspaper, that we might do a restaurant or something, that thought to me is though that I'm listening to a man that have not made real plans to help to develop the southeast side of town. And that concerned me. So I'm not being accusatory and say they spent money, but I'm determined to find out where every dime went. If there's been a check wrote for $10, I want to know where that $10 check went. I got a right to know. I think Mike and whoever's involved need to be stood to be accountable for it. And one of the things that bother me, that I hear a lot from clergy, that what I should not say to clergy and what I should not say to a community. I don't view clergy as no more important than anyone I'm talking to. I'm a man of God, and I've been called, I'm sure of that. But I can't say who's in the pulpit been actually called, because I don't know where their heart is. So I respond to things how I see them and respond to things on true facts. And if by true facts I believe it's not true, then I think they should be answered. And they have not been. I shouldn't have to call and ask. I should be given information. The community should have been told where we at, what our plans are. And right now, from what I hear, from the comment that Reverend Nicholson made, there is no plans. And to make plans to develop community, I think it takes years. I don't think we can make it overnight. But I think we have had enough time now to at least present the community with a solid plan. And that have not been done. And to come out the box and say, this is what we will do, off of thinking, without planning and without having people with experience that know how to develop plans, I think is unwise for anyone to do.
You just made the comment that people kind of saying you shouldn't say certain things, and you saying that you're not putting clergy above. As a man of God, do you have a scriptural basis for your position?
For my position, I believe my call is Hosea. I believe it's chapter 4, but I'll let you know there's true chapters before you leave in my car or else in my office, that I based on what I believe God have called me to do, and that is to challenge leadership. In that you will find that leadership needs to be challenged. And I think because of my experience, because of my tenure, I've been preaching all my life. It's only been 18 years that I have not been a preacher. I'm 53 now. That's a darn long time. And I've been raised by the best. I've been on several boards. I've learned a lot of things, not through a school, but through experience, sitting on boards and dealing with people, making decisions. I've worked with the city and been part of a lot of decision making and I saw how the city does its work, and that those kind of things trained me. I sit on a committee with several people. John Dorsey got it on McDonald's, hires on South Anthony, and several other people that the mayor called together to do a study of bringing in business on the southeast side of town. We brought several businesses in. We worked on it for 2 years. At least I worked on that committee for 2 years. Was unsuccessful in trying to get business in southeast side of town. I don't know if the alliance, if it does exist, is aware of those type of things. If I was sitting at the table with them, I would have shared with them what I know and to look at things we should have did. And I think ministers ought to be more focused on saving souls. 'Cause that's what we master in. I think right now it got to be more focused on soul saving, changing the thoughts, the minds, and the hearts of people, because now young people are killing each other and go to sleep at night, and it doesn't concern them, those killers, that who they kill. But the other kids are sleepless, they're afraid, they know if they tell, it'll come back, and they lost trust and confidence because they can't see the church responding like a church ought to respond. And I'm not talking about individual churches, I'm about church as a whole.
When you say that the church as a whole hasn't responded, give me an example of what it hasn't done, or what's been a problem for you.
Well, when Dr. Bledsoe and Jesse White, Dr. Clyde Adams, Dr. Sam Walker, Dr. Kenese Walker, Charles Triggs, Alfred Jones, Reverend Fincher, I can name a bunch of pastors. In the civil rights area, they fought. We had freedom schools. Those guys stood together and they made some differences in this community. People could criticize what they did outside of that, but when you go back and look at history, John Dixon did an amazing job in a community. No doubt Dr. Bledsoe did. We saw changes. Minister and I have a scholarship fund. We sent kids to school, colleges. We have supported that. I can think of tons of things that group of pastors did. That group of pastors built the churches that guys now are pastoring when there was no walls up. They're the one that did the work and made the sacrifices. And there was a lot of changes going on, positive. Now I see pastors taking the role of a pastor in churches that's built and that's paid off, and they can't fulfill the shoes of those guys. But I think, and I'm tired of hearing them say, we got to put the old way aside and pick up a new thing. I think we have to give them those old guys' shoulders and move higher and move forward. We have not done that. We have not. As a community of pastors, we have not done it. I've seen us just spread apart because I believe it's more individual thinking than it is a community thought that's going on now in the community. I think it's all about who gets to the top. I don't think we're in Dr. King days anymore. I think that was necessary. But now I think the way society is now, that pastors must learn how to work together and not make any decisions for a community on its own. No one church should make a decision for a community. It takes churches and leadership to come together, sit down and talk and have serious dialogues.